Hi, this is Melissa Manchester, and you lucky people, are listening to TV Confidential.
Ed Robertson with a reminder that the next edition of TV Confidential will air next week on this station at the usual time. We hope you join us for that. In the meantime, on the line with us right now are John McCafferty and Tom Lisanti. John McCafferty, the actor known around the world as Billy Joe Wright on Texas. John is among the many actors, writers, directors, and NBC executives and behind-the-scenes personnel that Tom interviewed for his latest book, Texas, an oral history of daytime's answer to Dallas. Everything you wanted to know and more about the highly touted spinoff of Another World that may not have lived up to the expectations of then NBC President Fred Silverman, but which nonetheless remains beloved by its fans today. Texas, an oral history of daytime's answer to Dallas, available wherever books are sold through our friends at Bear Manor Media. You can also find it at Amazon.com, wherever books are sold online. Why do you think Texas is still beloved today amongst fans of the show? John first, then Tom.
I didn't know it's still loved today. I didn't know about that, but I just know as an actor, it was a wonderful experience, and after the 2.5 years, it's like, I'm an actor. I know. I've been doing like a play every week, and I'm ready. So it was the best training. I wanted to mention something before about there's a scene where Billy Joe's son is he was poisoned or whatever, and there was this one scene that because you were talking about my storylines. It was a great scene. And basically, Billy Joe goes to the chapel and prays to God for his son. And talking about, taking your shot, it was wonderful. I mean, the music and whatever. And so I'm there and I'm talking, and it's very similar to It's a Wonderful Life. Remember when Jimmy Stewart is praying to God, help me, and he's in the bar, and it was kind of like that scene, but it was really good writing, and I really just tore my guts out. And then Andrew Wayman told me that the camera jiggled, so we'd have to do this scene again. And I'm going, oh my God, I just shot it, and But thank God that Andrew Wayman came up and said, don't worry, John, we're going to save it. You don't have to do it again. It was like, because it was like my shot, you know. I just tore my guts out. Because, okay, put the guts back in your stomach now. We're going to do it again. But I was happy that the jiggle didn't kill it.
Now, it doesn't sound like you'd be able to recreate that moment quite the same way a second time.
Yeah, and not only that, but not time to even load up the gun,
Exactly.
Okay, look, do it again now, right now.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Let me wipe the tears out of my eyes and start from, page 1. Got it.
Yeah.
So.
Tom, why do you think Texas is still beloved among its fans today?
Oh, I think a couple of reasons. One, Beverly McKenzie, she got top billing. It was called Texas, starring Beverly McKenzie. She had a lot of fans from Another World and who followed her over to Texas. And even though some of them were disappointed that they kind of softened Iris, they learned after about 6 months when the new writers came in, she went back to her villainous ways. So I think Beverly, it was just the power of Beverly, because like I said, she was so beloved from Another World and so beloved on Texas. Like me, there were some of us who could care less about Luke and Laura and General Hospital and did not want to get involved with that crap. And that's why I started to watch Texas. It was different. I found it, I think a lot of people found it quirky. It was dark at the beginning for 6 months, which I kind of liked, but then it sort of like lightened up a little bit, and it had these quirky characters like Lurleen, Billy Joe's sister, comes in, Ruby, and they became like Lucy and Ethel, and Pam Long, who plays Southern Belle, Vixenish Southern Belle, Ashley Linden, and of course Justin Marshall was played by Jerry Lanning, and the wonderful Carla Borelli, who was Rena Decker. And a lot of these characters were interesting, and they were played by really good actors. Robert Granger, then Clifton James, played Rena's father. Stryker Bellman, Elizabeth Allen, was her mother, Victoria. They had some really good actors in it and stuff. And again, the writing regimes, varied, but the cast was really, really good and kept the audience pretty much entertained. And the show was really picking up at the end of '82, and Pam Long became the head writer as well as an actress on the show. And it looked like, and one of the storylines was the one John mentioned about turning Billy Joe, because he was a TV star now, to this like a face in the crowd type character like Andy Griffith played. And it probably would have really, if it had 6 more months, and everybody involved thought it at least needed 6 more months, I think they would have turned it around, and the show might have lasted a couple of more years. But unfortunately, NBC just gave up on it, and it canceled it in December of '82 along with the Doctors, and just replaced them with run-of-the-mill game shows. None of them that really lasted very long. So I think fans were pretty much robbed of having Texas make a bit of a comeback. And so I think after all these years, like I said, I did so many fans out there. I was shocked, to be honest, myself when I started to put on social media that I was doing this book out of the woodwork, telling me how much they love Texas, including an editor who did my Ryan's Hope book.
Well, it's a reminder, when you put something out there, you never know how reaction's going to be, and it can often be a very pleasant surprise to find out that there's still an audience for something that you're doing, even though this is something that aired 40 years ago.
Yeah, and the surprising thing for me about the book was I didn't realize it. The show was huge in Canada.
Yeah,
it was more popular in Canada than General Hospital was, and it was psychologically like I was always wondering if they ever tried to see why Canadians loved it and why the Americans did not take to it as much as the Canadians did.
Is there anything else about Texas or your book, Tom, that you want our listeners to know about that I haven't already asked you?
Yeah, it's just that you don't have to be a fan of Texas to read the book. Just like my Ryan's Hope book, a lot of it is the behind-the-scenes machinations between NBC, Procter & Gamble, the head writers, the executive producers. And it's interesting for me to learn that with Ryan's Hope, ABC had a lot of influence on the storylines and casting. With Procter & Gamble soap, they owned it, and NBC just licensed it. So even though there was an NBC person in the room, they weren't part of any of the decisions. They would be told as a courtesy, we're changing, we're recasting this actor, we're dropping this storyline, and they would just go along with it. And that surprised me that NBC didn't have as much power over the show as ABC had over Ryan's Soap. So that's interesting. And I interviewed one of the NBC executives, Jeff Ryder, who was that NBC guy in the room, just saying, all right, I don't agree with it, but, I don't agree with that, but, and he says in the book the things he didn't agree with, that they just went ahead and anyway, because he had no say.
Well, a lot of times, it's the behind-the-scenes stuff is almost as fascinating as the plot lines that we see in front of the camera.
Oh, for sure.
Texas, an oral history of Daytime's answer to Dallas, available wherever books are sold through our friends at Bear Manor Media. You can also find it at Amazon.com. Tom Lisanti, John McCafferty, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. This is fun. Thank you.
Stay with us, folks. We'll be right back. One more item. If you're starting a company, particularly one that is in an emerging market, you know that averting any sort of legal dispute is crucial to your business plan. Our friends at Tectonic Law offer an array of services that can help you avoid and preempt future litigation while also developing and protecting your intellectual property and intangible assets. Tectonic Law serves the needs of a host of emerging industries throughout California and beyond, including industrial designers, beverage makers, artists, farmers, retail stores, health practitioners, wellness experts, cosmetics manufacturers, nonprofit organizations, innovators in sustainable practices, and libraries. Go to tectoniclaw.com to learn more about how Tectonic Law can help your business thrive. tectoniclaw.com. Rock solid representation for groundbreaking industries.
This portion of TV Confidential is brought to us by our friends at Front Porch Realty, the community of realtors in the Northern Bay Area of California that is committed to finding the solution that is best for their clients. Whether you're a first-time home buyer or looking to sell or lease your property in Northern California, call Karen Strain at 415-886-7411 or visit frontporchrealtygroup.com for more information on how they can help you.
Ed Robertson thanking you for listening to the TV Confidential podcast. If you like what you hear, please hit the subscribe button so that you won't miss our next episode. Texas, an oral history of Daytime's answer to Dallas is available wherever books are sold through our friends at Bear Manor Media. You can also find Texas, an oral history, Daytime's Answer to Dallas, Amazon.com, where books are sold online. Ed Robertson, Dr. Tony Figueroa, Donna Ellen, Phil Grice, and Susan Silver. Thank you so much for listening. Stay healthy, stay safe. We'll talk to you next time on TV Confidential.